win or lose, we keep it real. Join Climbing the Pocket for Vikings final score. Skol Vikings!
I'm just going to say, our man Matt Anderson doing a bit of voice acting right there. I'm not sure if you heard that, but the man came through, put the extra bass in his voice for the final score intro. Shout out to Matt. Thank you for coming through. Got to find something to smile about as we are once again watching the clock tick away on another Vikings loss that, if we're being honest, probably shouldn't have been. Again, like last week, it's a game that most of us thought we would lose going into Philadelphia, but the Philadelphia team we played didn't really look that impressive to start this game. The Vikings had a lot of opportunities to really take control of the game early and did not do so. Flip. The analysis feels pretty straightforward, feels pretty simple, but as the time ticks away, what are you thinking here on this game?
You can't even say that the Vikings have shot themselves in the foot these last 2 weeks because a gun only has 6 bullets. And I think I shot you a message at halftime like, I can't do this. I can't be hurt. I'm not actually that hurt by this loss because I can't be hurt by a team that plays like that. I can't be hurt by a team that just gives the ball over at such a crazy rate. 6 first half turnovers, 7 turnovers in the first 2 weeks when we only had 23 turnovers last year. And, I think a lot of people have been comparing it to last year saying, we're going to be less lucky. It's really not about luck. It's about playing clean football. And I just can't get hurt by a team that's not playing clean football. We look like the 2008 Lions out there bumbling around, and it's without consequence. Just a waste of some great performances. And anything they said about the turnovers last week, it sounded like, Kevin O'Connell said, look inward. I don't think any of that was taken to heart. They treated the turnovers like a fluke. They're not a fluke. The turnovers are not a fluke. Fundamental football is not a fluke. Good NFL teams work on the fundamentals on a consistent basis, blocking, catching, tackling, not turning the ball over. And that can make the difference between winning and losing football games in the NFL. So the Vikings are going to try it out here with all these cool skill positions and just have them turn the ball over. Our best investments are turning the ball over. It's not something I really care to cheer for.
So, Matt just popped in. Do you believe in miracles, Flip? Crazier things have happened. Vikings should get the ball back with about 12 seconds in this game. We're chalking it up as being a wrap, but crazier things have happened. Do you still believe, or have you basically for this game, with as sloppy as they played, win, lose, or draw, you're just kind of over it with the team?
Well, I think that if the Vikings do pull off this miracle and win, I hope that it's with Alex Madison and KJ Osborne on the bench, because when you fumble like that, when you drop the ball like that, you don't deserve to be a part of great moments. You got to look inward.
And I'm interested. This comment here from Scott is an interesting one. New defensive coordinator isn't any better than the one we had last year. I don't know that that's fair. I think we're seeing some different things schematically from Flores. But I think what we've been trying to say for the last couple of years is we don't really have the players to field a good defense. Like, it's not like Mike Zimmer in his final years forgot how to call a defense, or Donatel, who's been in and around the league forever, played that bend but don't break because that was his first choice, or that Flores, who's coached many a great defense, also forgot how to coach defense. We just don't have good players, enough good players on that defense. Ivan Pace is a great story, but your undrafted linebacker coming in and making the team just like that speaks to the fact that there weren't a lot of good players there for him to compete with. Like it's another late round guy whose job he took in Brian Asamoah. Like the defense just doesn't have the guys to really be a good defense at this point in time. It's something that's going to need to be rebuilt, and it's going to be tough because you got Justin Jefferson, you got Christian Darrisaw, you got TJ Hawkinson, you got Brian O'Neill, you got all these guys on offense who are making a lot of money. The defense is going to look probably a bit like this for the foreseeable future if we want to continue fielding the offense that looks like the one we have right now. So I don't know.
It's tough to watch. It's not ideal, but look, I think ultimately, Jason, what you're trying to say is that the offense is supposed to be the strength of this team. The fact that we're in a game down double digits where the defense is being forced to stop a run, the defense is being forced to play 64 plays is the entire problem, because that is our weakness. I would love to see this Brian Flores defense with a 2-score lead, and we turn the ball over too much for that to happen. We commit dumb penalties too much for that to happen. Give the weaker part of your team a chance to play within themselves. Give them a chance to make the other offense one-dimensional, and then maybe, you're not going to see elite defensive performance, but you're going to see a defense that can actually hang with some of the better teams in the NFL. But that's not what happened today. The offense is where the majority of the focus and the investment is, including the head coach. So the offense is going to be where we put most of our blame.
And I think that's right. I think that, people were joking on Twitter and other places that, the Vikings get down multiple scores. It's stat pattern time. It's time for, Kirk to go up and get the numbers and all of those things. And I feel you on that, man. I think David had the perfect word. It's uninspiring. Who wants to watch that over and over and over again? Last year, I guess, was fun because we actually pulled some of the rabbits out of the hat. But generally speaking, this type of football that this team is playing, especially right now where they're playing as sloppy as they are, it's uninspiring. And with that said, we have a guest fired up. Bring in the man, the myth, the legend. Ryan, how you doing, man?
What up, fellas? How you doing?
I mean,
frustrated, I'm sure.
Yeah, and Matt just called it out. I know Miles has been talking about it all week, but Ryan, you're here. I'm going to ask you, is there anything the Vikings can do to get this run game to something that is less embarrassing than it is right now?
I don't what I'm trying to figure out is what is it that's going wrong? Is it Madison's not effective? Is it the run, the offensive line isn't, doing their job, or is it the scheme itself and just not being effective? I'm not sure. It's probably a combination of all three. I'm not sure what we can do. It's just the thing with the run game is it's a lot of effort, right? It's just getting your mask on the guy across from you's mask and driving him to the ground as best as you possibly can. And just our guys aren't doing it. It's seeing open holes. Our guys aren't doing that. And I just don't know how you fix that. I don't think Kareem Hunt fixes that. I don't think Dalton Reisner fixes that. I'm not sure what does.
Not at this point in the year, but I think the question is, what made us think that we would be able to run the ball against the two of the best defensive lines in the league? If you had asked me, how's Alex Madison going to do going against the Bucks, going against the Eagles when he's behind Austin Slotman, Garrett Bradbury, Ed Ingram, and Ezra Cleveland, then this is exactly what we should have expected. And just because Kevin O'Connell talks in the offseason about a focus on the run game, just because they go out and sign Josh Oliver, lip service. Our talent is not good enough to go against these maulers of on the defensive line.
So to your point that you said earlier,
Vita Vea, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter. That's a tough assignment for those guys, right? But at the same time, everybody in the league has to go against those guys, right? And it's how do you scheme around that? How do you make it effective? I thought they did decent in pass protection today. like not great, but they did decent. It was actually more the edges that suffered today in the pass protection. But like, yeah, I don't know how you get the run game going with that interior.
Doesn't matter because, like Flip was saying right before you came on, Ryan, that the investments on this team really have been about making the passing game go. Like, if you think about how the team is constructed, and in the modern NFL, the passing game is king. You need to have a great quarterback, great passing game to really win in the league. But it seems that this weakness of the Vikings is the thing that really has been their undoing in, like, I can't remember how many of the last few seasons it has been at this point, where at some point you just meet a team that is just more stout in the trenches, and it's something that we're unable to overcome. So, like Miles was talking about, maybe quick game and some other things they might have been able to do to overcome that against the Eagles. And it seemed early on like some of those things were working. Just is Flip said, the turnovers at this point, we can't just call them fluke plays anymore. But is it really as simple as cleaning up just the dumb mistakes for this offense to stay on track and maybe give us a chance to win some more of these games? Or is it something else that you're seeing?
I mean, you saw it, right? Like when we held onto the ball, we scored points. Obviously not every single time, but we were moving the ball. I don't like. I'm not a silver lining guy or like a moral victory guy. We sucked today because we turned the ball over 4 times. We were in that game until the end, like with 4 turnovers and with them only having 1. I mean, again, I'm not calling that out as a moral victory. It's not, because we lost the game. However, for us to be able to be in that game, specifically with our offense playing as effectively as it did, if you clean up those turnovers, I mean, even just I was texting my buddy Crockett, like you take away that 1 turnover by JJ and we win that game potentially. Like obviously the Eagles took their foot off the pedal a little bit at the end, but we at least have another touchdown, right? And they maybe don't have those 3 points. Who knows? So it's frustrating to see because that's like football 101. I mean, I coach my kids' team right now, and we preach just ball security, ball security, ball security.
Yeah,
my issue is that's what we said last week. And so where I'm at now after this game is, look, you want to turn the ball over? Well, I expect perfect play outside of those turnovers, because that's what it's gonna take to win. So fine, turn the ball over, but that letting them get 3 points right before halftime,
right?
Absolutely unacceptable. Harrison Smith jumping off sides, absolutely unacceptable. Those are the things you can coach. You can bench KJ Osborne for those drops because we have no margin for error. So let's play like it. And we saw the same thing against the Bucs. We saw Jay Ward jump off sides on that field goal. We saw other mistakes there outside of the turnovers, and those weren't cleaned up either.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So outside of the mistakes, because obviously, like, that's going to be the main talking point. I think that's the thing that's getting a lot of run on Twitter and Facebook, Reddit, and other places. The run defense. Flip, I'm looking for your thoughts here, because, I mean, that was demoralizing to watch as a fan. And like, we all kind of expected that the interior line for the Vikings would be a bit of a weakness. But this was crazy. And as the Eagles were just running, like, when was the last time we saw a good game from Swift since he left Georgia? Like, that man looked like the vintage version of himself out there today. Flip, like, is this something that you see as being a bigger problem than maybe we thought it was going to be based on what you saw today in the game against the Eagles?
What? So I guess the political answer is that it's a mix of talent, but also scheme, because we were trying to drop 8 into coverage a lot. We were dropping out of that mug look. That's I don't really talk about scheme. I think Harrison Phillips had an atrocious game.
Both Harrisons did.
Dean Lowry silent. Both Harrisons. Marcus Davenport, like, where you at, bro? It's just the talent is not there to stop the run game. We go against the Los Angeles Chargers. They have a great run game and a great running back next week. Like I said before, I'm okay. I'm okay with being bad at the run game because this team is is kind of designed to be a little poor in run defense if the offensive is clicking. That's a trade-off I'll make. But yeah, when things are not going well, when we're down by 2 scores, I expect it to be ugly. And it was ugly today. I don't know. It's not like they can promote some backups to play. So a lot of things with this team, the disheartening part is it's hard to fix.
Yeah, William stole my question. Did Davenport play today? They mentioned Davenport very early in the broadcast, but now as you mentioned the name, I don't remember hearing Davenport's name again for the rest of the game. And as I'm looking at the box score, I don't see Davenport's name anywhere on it. Ryan, was Davenport on the field today?
I mean, I think it was the kind of same thing as like Darisaw, wasn't it? Did Darisaw play any snaps?
What's the opposite of a healthy scratch? Because that's what they did with Christian Darisaw and Marcus Davenport. It was like an
I think it was like mind games, right? Like, oh, Darisaw might play, like that's going to make a difference for this defensive line's mentality. No, like, yeah, I think that was maybe more. It was more. I don't know. I didn't see him play anything, so
okay. All right.
But yeah, going back to the run game thing, like I was just looking at Vikes Insider. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter and Instagram, but you guys should. All listeners, go check him out. He had posted the box score of the Philadelphia rushing attack, and we let up 254 yards, 5.6 yards per carry. And they pretty much ran the same play like every play. It was basically the same exact run every single play. So it's just like, oh, it's just frustrating. Like I don't know what was more frustrating, watching that unfold or like, again, Brian Flores, much respect. We actually played really good defense that first half for sure, for the most part. But why didn't we adjust? Like where was the adjustments throughout the game? Like we all dogged on Ed Donatel all year for not making adjustments and just sitting in that shell coverage all year and getting ripped apart. And not to say this is the same scenario, and our defense looked much better than it did last year today, but yeah, it just no adjustments throughout the game on those run plays, and again, the guys that we expect to play well just didn't. I know Ivan Pace is getting a lot of love out there. I thought he even played. He had some really, really great plays, and then he had some. He washed out, or just like again, he was doing the Asamoah impression, which everyone knocks Asamoah for. He just guessed the wrong hole, and then all of a sudden he's just not in the play at all. Like again, hey, he props to him, undrafted rookie. He's playing well. He played better than Hicks, in my opinion. But like, just he didn't play the greatest game. Harrison Smith was not great at all. Phillips, Flip, you already called him out. Like the only people that had decent games were Byron Murphy and Caleb Evans. Like and Cam Bynum. I thought he played decent, but and obviously Danielle Hunter dominated. But yeah, it was rough. It was rough to watch.
I'm okay with the Jordan Hicks game, but we overall agree. I think. It just, honestly, what they did in pass defense, even though it was limited and not the focus of the Eagles' overall offense at the end of the game, I was okay with it. I was even okay with the scheme dropping 8. We got some coverage sacks from Danielle Hunter, and the pass defense is above expectation right now, whereas the run defense definitely not so.
Yeah, so Flip, you kind of started to go down that path a little bit there when you were talking about them dropping 8. I guess do you or Ryan want to jump in and answer William's question about just kind of like the thought process that Flores likely had with playing the zone coverage, trying to keep everything in front of him, eyes on the quarterback, and kind of why that was the strategy in this game, even though obviously they gave up some stuff in other parts of the game?
Yeah, I'll let you go after Ryan, but I'll just say overall, I think for the opponent we were playing, I was okay with it. Jalen Hurts was not seeing the field well. Dropping defenders into the box is actually or out of the box is actually what caused the first interception by Theo Jackson. And, they really didn't allow those big plays. Now, you can argue the fact that we're down 14 and we're doing that strategy may not be the best thing, but it seemed to be relatively effective against this particular quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're betting that Jalen Hurts isn't going to be able to read the coverage as well, and then make those tight throws. And then I didn't see for sure because again I'm watching TV view, but I'm assuming we had some sort of spy on him. I'm assuming that was Ivan Pace's job in the coverage, and just trying to let Danielle Hunter go to town. So that's why you would do that. But man, me and my son just sitting here yelling when he had 9 seconds. It ended up being a sack, but he had like 9 seconds to throw, and we're like, somebody do something, like a little pressure. And then obviously Pace kind of came up, forced him up, and we got a sack. But and then the next thing, David Ditter, he had mentioned like Theo had some good moments, and you called out the interception. Actually, I think Theo Jackson did actually play pretty well, especially spelling Metellus when he got hurt. And our offense absolutely is letting us down, and special teams, right? I mean, when you have a turnover on the punt return, I mean, granted, it was a great punt return, but just hold on to the damn ball, right? And then I think it was the very next drive, we fumble it on the first play. I mean, that's a quick way to lose time of possession right there. Like, horrible.
And one other thing I just want to call out on the defense piece is that, I mean, one, dropping folks in coverage was pretty effective. The flip side of that is that when we did play man coverage, they got behind us a lot. Like a lot. We have the drop of AJ Brown in the end zone, but like Devontae Smith got behind on both sides. Like pretty much every time they ran man coverage, they took a shot and they were pretty close to connecting on it. So I think it's also an acknowledgement of the fact that like we didn't think we could run with these guys down the field. And so we needed to play safe, or the game likely would have just got out of hand even more quickly than it did. And honestly, I don't know which one's worse, to be honest, like watching them run the ball on us the way they did today, or them just throwing it over our head the whole game. Like, I'm not sure which one is actually worse for me to watch. I think running probably is a bit more demoralizing because it was just
now we care about run defense. Now we care. Takes
defense, I feel like we
253
always
yards.
cared about. I mean, I feel like we always care about run defense, just running the ball a little bit better than where are we at this week. We're improving. 3.1 yards a carry this week. We're getting better.
So just address this comment about Jared Goff shredding, this defense. I don't think that's the scheme you use against the Detroit Lions, because the Detroit Lions don't have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert as pass catching options. So I think in that type of matchup, you can play more man coverage and be a little more attacking than we were today. But we played one of the best offenses, or what was thought of to be one of the best offenses in the NFL coming into this game. They have a great offensive line. They have great skill positions. They have one of the rising quarterbacks in the NFL. So it's like choose where you're gonna get beat. And today it happened to be the run game.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, so Flip, Aaron asked a question that I'm going to throw to you just because I know you have thoughts on this based on our group chat that we're all in kind of during the game. But that's the last piece here is this: Madison is not passing the eye test. Flip, where are you at on this point? Like, obviously Dalvin Cook didn't look like much in the snaps that he was able to get earlier in the week as well. So like moving on from Dalvin, probably the right thing, but couple games in now with Madison, where are we at with it? What are we thinking? Because it's not looking good.
Yeah. The offseason moves to move on from Dalvin Cook, but then also re-sign Alex Madison. I think it makes sense from a salary cap point, but in my humble opinion, I just question why we ever thought that Alex Madison was going to be good as a premier running back. And we talked about, all the data, all the efficiency metrics. He's more efficient than Dalvin Cook. But Alex Madison has never passed the eye test. He's never looked good as anything more than a spell 5 carries a game running back. And the idea that a guy who's just a guy can fumble in a key situation like that. And the Vikings are one of the only team in the NFL that don't have a platoon. Look at the Eagles. They have literally 4 good running backs, but we've got one Alex Madison who can play like dog shit, and we don't have any other running backs that we can put into the game, that's a problem that only the Vikings are dealing with right now. So it should definitely be a platoon system. There should definitely be multiple backs that they can trust, and they just don't have it right now.
I mean, the Eagles also have one of the best offensive lines in the league, so that probably has a little bit to do with it as well.
Yeah, so they basically say, look, one of you four guys, if you get injured, sorry, you're going to miss out on a potential 150-yard game. If you fumble the ball, sorry, we got three other guys. And the Minnesota Vikings right now, if Alex Madison were to get injured, we'd be in a bad spot, and the guy can't even play.
I mean, we could run we ran Ty Chandler like right up the gut on a play when he finally got some snaps, and I was like, this is what we're doing? Ty Chandler like into the teeth of the defense? That's probably not going to work out well for anyone. Jonathan Taylor, good Lord, Freddie, what are you trying to do to us here? We need those draft picks for a quarterback. Like, we can't be giving those away for a running back. Sorry, can't do it. Ryan, you mentioned a bit of a silver lining, and I know you're not generally that guy, but what good are you taking away from this game?
I mean, that we literally went down to the end. I mean, to an onside kick opportunity to have an opportunity to take the lead, right? I mean, we were in the game obviously they had that big DeAndre Swift not a touchdown run, but ended up being a touchdown, right? But like we were in the game till the end, and with 4 turnovers, and one of them being on the goal line, right? So like, again, it sucks because we lost, and that was just like the Bucks game. This was a winnable game that we didn't because we just make stupid mistakes. So it's frustrating, but at the same time, like our offense played well. I think our defense showed signs of life. And yeah, I mean, there's good positives to take away from this game, but like to Flip's point, we can't just sit here and say, oh, just take the turnovers away and we'll be just fine. Like, sure, yeah, that's great, but the turnovers haven't gone away in those first 2 weeks. 7 turnovers in 2 weeks is horrendous. So you can't win. It's not sustainable.
Flip, you got anything positive to take away from this one?
Yeah, I love the offensive skill players. I think Jordan Addison is doing exactly what we drafted him to do. I think that the interior offensive line is always going to be a scapegoat, for this team after years and years of fans looking at it. But Austin Schottelman, Ed Ingram, Ezra Cleveland, I thought they all played above expectation against 2 really good defensive lines. So I think that's something that, we'll see how they play as the season goes on. That's not something where I'm panicking. Certainly, signing Dalton Reiser doesn't fix this offensive line. So on offense, if we got to bench KJ Osborne or share snaps, do it. Get Christian Darrisaw back in, and let's roll. And let's stress good fundamental football. On defense, it's about the young guys getting experience, and we have a plethora of them. So if we get 4 or 5 of those guys to just get great experience, whether it's a Caleb Evans, Ivan Pace, Cam Bynum continues to put together some solid games. Let's go with that and hopefully continue to be competitive.
It's fun watching Caleb Evans get some big hits. I love that.
I'm going to roll with what Aaron says, though. I'm going to give Kirk some credit here. Like, obviously, there was some fumbles and things, but, like, Kirk played well. I mean, like, obviously, at some points, again, stat padding time, the Eagles have their foot off the gas, whatever. But, like, Kirk hung tough in a way that in past years we may not have seen him do. It seems that some of the things that O'Connell has been able to do with Kirk have carried over from last season into this one. And just the plays that he continued to make throughout the game. Again, the stats, it is what it is, but 31 of 44 for 364 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like, Kirk didn't panic in the way that we've maybe seen him panic in years past when the game started to go kind of sideways. And so I will take that away as a positive, and try to, continue doing what we've been doing a little bit more of here lately, which is give Kirk credit when credit is due, but then also when, there's games like last week, we can be honest about that too. So this week, can't put it all on Kirk. The whole team, really everyone else showed up and just made a bunch of really, really dumb mistakes. But I feel like Kirk did his thing for the most part in this game.
Yeah, no complaints, really.
Flip looks mad at me for saying this, but
No, it's true. It's true.
There's no complaints. I mean, obviously, maybe he held the ball a little long in that 4th fumble, but also you have I don't know why he thought that Udo could hold that block longer than he did. Maybe because he's an NFL tackle and you should be able to. But yeah, no, he got destroyed on that.
But
play.
just what are we doing here? Like, what are we actually doing here? We've got Kirk Cousins signed, even though he's playing well. His contract is done at the end of this year. We haven't extended Justin Jefferson yet, which is something that I'm not that concerned about. I'm sure that will happen. Alex Madison's under contract. TJ Hawkinson is the highest paid tight end in the game, and he's getting 4 catches a game. Like, what are we actually doing here? Do we even have a team that we can drop a rookie quarterback into? We don't have time to talk about it, but that's the most upsetting part. Like, if we're not going to win this year, if this is like some sort of rebuild, then what is actually the shell of this team? All of our best players are about to leave, except for JJ.
It's the rebuild. It's the rebuild part of. I think last season we got the competitive. I think this year is where we get the rebuild.
A rebuild has some good core players.
I mean, the offense has got some.
The offense has a plenty.
You got
Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, and 2 bookend tackles. That's 5 good players.
It's like literally 7 catches a game, and then Jefferson.
Hawkinson, I think, had 7 alone, didn't he?
7 for 66, 2 touchdowns.
And 2 touchdowns. I mean, I don't know what else you want more from a tight end, Flip. I don't know.
Aaron this is what the competitive rebuild was always going to be.
What more could I ask for?
They're not tanking, but with the way the team is constructed, they're going to be competitive in some games, but they're also probably not going to be very good for a lot of the games as well. And, maybe they're okay with that. I don't know. But that's it. We're at time for the day. Like, we're not going to keep going through this. Another game, another very winnable game for the Vikings that once again, they just squandered because holding on to the ball is something that is optional for our team this season. And hopefully with a bit of extra time, we can figure that out. Maybe Ryan can go on down there and show them what you're showing the kids on, like, some ball security, and we can figure that out. But that's it. That's all. Thanks for everyone in the comments. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for kicking it with us. Kareem Hunt will not save us.
No.
Kareem Hunt, I mean, he's probably better than what we got, but Kareem Hunt will not save us. Nor will Reisner. We got who we got, and we're just going to have to ride this thing on out. And hope we can learn to secure the football. So, Ryan, any final words?
I got nothing. Just try to stay positive, folks. I think we're right there. We're 0-2 in 1-score games this year. It's a big change from last year.
Yeah,
but we're right
go
there.
Math. Flip, any final words?
I just want one slow motion clip of Kevin O'Connell just cursing out somebody who just made a mistake. Like,
there we go.
It's never going to happen.
I need it.
But it does kind of make you miss Mike Zimmer. Like, at least he would have gotten that.
Whoa.
I mean, he did do that last year with Rager. When Rager ran that wrong route, and he took him to the sideline and reamed him out. But yeah, I haven't seen it yet this year.
Here we go.
There it is.
I'm watching for it.
We're looking for we just need a little toxic in the work environment, just a little bit to keep
Just a
folks on their
little.
toes. But
Yeah.
with that, we're gonna play the music. Catch y'all after the next one.